Hello.
Hey, morning, Bettina.
Morning.
Okay. Pass. On again. So we'll just start a little bit of loosening here. Come in front and back. Side to side. Into rotation. To the wave. Increase the body a little bit, taking it down a little bit to the ground. It's going to sweep the ground a little bit. And just play with the hips. And release as much as possible the shoulders. Weight's mostly in the legs. Just see if you can pass the motion of the hip into the arm. You can do one-sided or just one arm. You can do both. Start to very slowly kind of creep up off the ground. You kind of come up a little bit, come down. Up a little bit more, come down. Kind of working your way up and down. You reach the top, just loosening the spine a little bit. Okay, and we'll just go into this swing down. So we're now trying to integrate the arms. Shoulder, nice and relaxed. going.
Ich habe überhaupt kein Bild.
Okay, see if you can catch it. We'll look at today this idea of rebound through the body. So it's a bit like a ball when you bounce, boom, it's going to kind of send down and something bounces back up. You've got the same kind of feeling in the body. So we mostly focus on the ground and the settling because it's really necessary to kind of access this kind of level. So you want the feeling first that you've got the body sinking into the ground. So you just play with a few, and it's just like as if you're kind of throwing the ball into the ground. It's got that kind of quality, but there's going to be no rebound back. I'm going to hold the rebound off. Just let it settle. Just like down, down. And just take a few moments just here. Just let the arms kind of relax. And just feel the whole weight of the body, the whole weight of the movement anchored in the lower body. And the upper body nice and long all the time. So you're lengthening through the top and then boom, just drop it all down. Just let it hold it for a few seconds, a couple of seconds. Just feel the body totally go into boom, nice and settled into the ground. Ah, yeah, this is tricky. Yeah. Yes, this is tricky. There's two spectrums in this of where I can in a way go out get out of it. So the first one is being too loose. So I'm basically in this position and the body's basically not really still. It's still kind of moving with it. So, and the second one is actually holding the position. So going to stiffness, which is counter to the next skill. So it'll actually work against me in the end. So the other one, going to stiffness, looks something like this. So I basically hold the body up. So things like this, and I'm basically holding the structure of the legs externally. Just think about the movement's going to really penetrate the ground. So it's got nowhere else to go. It's just going to hit the ground and boom, hit into it. So the feeling, it's a bit like this thing we were talking yesterday, like Saito Sensei, like sink the feeling down. So the whole body's sinking down, but also more important is actually what you're doing with the feeling. Sink the feeling down. So the feeling just boom, penetrates the ground. And then raise it up, penetrates the ground. And it's still quite flexible in the body. Just see if you can feel it. It's about like when we make the sword cut and you just arc through. So you just let the sword cut kind of drain through the ground. So there should be a kind of total settling in the body. There should be a moment you feel, boom, the ground's totally received the movement. That's it. Yeah, just watch. It's also to do with the shoulders, because just watch this. If I do this, where the shoulders are out, the body's automatically going to go into tension to hold it, or it's going to try and rock back, and then you've got this unsettled movement. So just get the feeling that the shoulders and the hips basically they fall into each other. So just think about this structure. Think about the torso like a big kind of expanded cylinder, and it's going to go straight down into the legs. So I want that cylinder of the body to hit the base. And you can just experiment a little bit also with the feet being a little bit wider, because if with a wider base, it's much clearer. So if I do that, the body will just go forward. If I try and maintain the vertical, the body will go back. So just play with it, but it's about hitting this kind of sweet spot in the movement. And it's a little bit easier maybe with a wider base, wider legs. That's why a lot of traditional arts also work with big wide stances like horse stance. And if you're from Shotogan, even wider stances. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Adrian, good. Adrian's like proper Chinese Kung Fu style now with the arm braces. Yeah. That's it. Okay, great. Good. Now we'll come to the second movement, but just get the feeling now as you go down that movement is going to be drawn up from the hip. So this is tricky because my tendency is to go to the knees and unlock the knees. So I'm in the front of the knee, and then I do something like that to throw the body up. But really feel as if when you do like a squat, you sink down and then you pull the body up. So it's got this quality of draining down, and then the knees are soft, but they don't start the movement. So there's no kind of movement here, it's just there. There. So try and feel it's a little bit, we were talking yesterday about the movement really coming from the center of the body. In this case, just think about the hips. They come up, come up. So it's like drawing out of the ground. Drawing out of the ground. Imagine you're pulling something really heavy out of the ground. Yesterday I was on the beach pulling rocks up, but you've got to get this feeling like the weight's underneath it, and then the hips go. Hips draw up. Otherwise I get stuck in this part. I get stuck in the front of the body. So just get this feeling a little bit like you're pulling something out of the ground. You do it with the whole lower, lower, lower body, but mostly it's going to hinge from the hip. Yeah, that's it. Boom. That's it, Adrian. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Good. Nice, nice, nice. Very nice. Okay, great. And then it's just a case of gluing it together and getting the feeling to go together. So what you do now is like bounce into it and bounce out. Bounce into it, bounce out. What you can do in this case is slightly lengthen the movement up. So you've got this kind of, I call this like the roller coaster. You've got like the wave comes up, slightly lengthen it, and then feel like good gum gum. Good gum gum. Something comes out. So just now try and feel that you can catch the rebound. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. And the more I can settle the initial movement, the more rebound I'll get. There. There. Oh, too big. There we go. There we go, there we go. That's it. Yeah. And this is why it's really important when we do this exercise, especially when we start to do it fast, that the arms don't take over the movement. So the arms aren't the thing doing the movement. So if that happens, all this grounding stuff and rebounding won't happen because the arms are basically pulling the body up out of the ground. So as long as I can maintain the shoulders to be relaxed, just play with it a little bit. You can also do this as a nice exercise to kind of balance the movement and kind of lessen the arm. It's just leave the arms out. So you've again just got like boom, boom, boom. And sometimes include one arm. And then it's gone. There. There. And sometimes include both. Sometimes do none. So there we go. That's it. Great. Nice. Great, and just try a few times just in a hand, so left side forward or right side forward. Try a few in both sides, but just get this feeling again. You're going to raise up, cut down. What you can also do to kind of exaggerate it, if you think about the first saburi, you can draw up the foot, come here, and then swing it down. Draw up the foot, swing it down, and again try and get the feeling. We tend to kind of do everything in the arms and the feet, and that's just for coordination first. But start to get the feeling that the hips actually draw the body up. Hips sink the body down. Just get used to kind of entering that triangular posture. Try and keep the body nice and balanced. The carriage of the hips and the shoulders, let them go together. You can also do again just one side. No power at all through the arm, just letting it go. Just letting it go. Just letting it go. Just try a few both sides. Okay, good. Yeah. Ah, good, Bettina. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Yeah, great. Very nice. Yeah, you can also do this. Bettina's doing this really great. So you can do this really exaggerated, and you can come up and then drop the body through totally. So you can also begin to kind of hinge the whole body. So as long as I can keep it down in the ground and then I don't swing the body forward off the ground, then just slightly exaggerate as well. So which is basically just increasing the hinge in the hip. So if you think about normally when we do a cut, we're kind of hinging the hip that far. You can also just hinge it a little bit further, drop the body down, and I'll also just exaggerate where the base is dropping into, or where your body's dropping into. Tohei had a really great exercise. Adrian probably knows it better than me, but he had a really great one that he kind of waved over the top and then came through this way with the
𝒊𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂
So there's all these kind of exercises, and also like Torifu and all these kind of movements. They all actually really, they use the hip work. They look like arm work, but they're actually really training the base. Yeah, that's it. Just try a few both sides, left and right. There we go. Yeah, great. Okay, and then the next one is you're going to do two things with. You can just stick to a rotation, so you're basically in this position. This, roll up, this, roll up, this, roll up, this. And once you feel you kind of got that, also play with a little bit shifting the body. We don't tend to do this with the BOKKEN, but in terms of the structure of the body this way, also play a little bit with sending it in. Now this is not like Ikkyo Undo, so you're not exactly coming up to this position and then coming down this position. And it's got a really specific movement. So just focus on swinging through. Think really like a sword cut. So it's much more based on the downward movement than the upswing. The upswing is important. We'll do some kind of exercises with it next, but just play with a little bit. Swing the body in. Swing the body in. Swing the body in. Just really play with the movement kind of coming from the ground. Translate it into the hip work. That's it. That's it. And these are also great to do, like what Adrian's got on with the weighted bands, or also with like heavy balls in the hands. They're also good to do with these because they will increase the feedback on the arms of how much I'm holding them in tension. And they'll force me to really anchor the movements in the back. So. There we go. Very good. Yeah, now especially in rotation work, it's really keep that this phrase of tohis is really great with this weight underside. And the other one that I like a lot is from Peter Ralston, which is basically hand up, you down. So think about in these think about whenever you raise the arms, the feeling needs to really drain down. So feel that as you're going up, you're not exactly lifting the arms up and pulling the center out, but you're sinking the feeling down to raise it. So the feeling's like the arms totally drained down. And for me, I like to focus on the elbow. So rather than focusing on the hand, I'm focusing a little bit more on the elbow, because what this does is contain it a bit more into the back and the lower body. So just play a little bit. You can also just send it right into the elbow. And if you think about doing anything like a strike or an elbow strike or anything like this, or when we do ikkyo, all the time's keeping the feeling that the elbows drain down and that the arms are, the weight is basically loaded underneath, like the weight's hanging off the joint. And Tohei, again, he did all these unbendable arm exercises and all this kind of stuff, and they're all based on a similar feeling. I like Peter Raz, it's much simpler. Hand up, you down. It just says it all. Yeah, exactly. There, boom. Boom. That's it, great. Good. Okay, take a bokken. We will do a little bit. Okay, the first thing the bokken, just get used to the kind of command. So the first thing we've got is like we take the bokken and we go into it, and then we go into the cut. But just feel that now you've got the extra weight in the body. Unless you're like Adrian, you've got all the weight on anyway. But just get the feeling that when you take the bokken, I want the feeling that it's really anchored in the lower body. Now details like how I'm gripping the sword, all these kind of things really matter. So just play a little bit with the feeling. Should be that the sword's totally secure in the grip, without needing to be really forceful on the grip. So it should just feel like it's there, just there. So especially the left hand's your anchor for it. So the left hand should be really the anchor for it. It should feel very comfortable in the hand. I shouldn't feel like I need to overly tense anything. So it should feel quite loose. That kind of feeling. If you imagine like a really high stool in front of you, imagine like this part of the sword's just going to kind of rest onto it. So it's this feeling of the sword's actually anchored into the body, not by leaning into it, but just by that. Just try and feel that it's very comfortable. And just go also left side as well, left side, right side. Coming into Kamai. You can also come out of the Kamai. Come into here, just feel. Again, we're essentially, all this is grounded on balance. And in this case, really trying to include the sword in the posture of the body. That. It's really tightly anchored. Yeah, good. There we go. Nice. Good. Great. Okay, we're just coming to the first suburi. Just take it nice and big, so you're here anchored into the body. Feel that there's no increase in tension in the arm, so there's nothing that kind of goes in the arm. You just anchor into the body and then draw the body up from the hips, and then draw the body down. Just keep it nice and relaxed, and just try and notice any change in the structure of the body here. Something goes up, something pulls back. Just feel that the feeling, again, it's just about draining the feeling down. Again, it's much more about this. Obviously, there's all these technical aspects to it, but the main thing is that it's actually my feeling down. my relationship to the ground, and the raise comes from that. And then the sinking in, just a completion of that. Just see if you can. Yeah, that's it. Nice. That's it. Good. Nice. Very nice. Just a few on the left side too, so exactly the same movement. Obviously you're working with a different 𝒂𝒂𝒏, it's asymmetrical, but just using the same pattern, drawing up to the back, releasing through the structure, and passing it into the ground. And again, especially on the left side, just notice there's a tendency for extra movement, so just keep the arms nice and connected to the hip, and then send the hip back. Just notice these kind of extra movements come up, just try and neutralize them by grounding the body more and anchoring the sword into the hip. So really calm. Down. Down. Very nice. 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 Good. Okay, and then just take it into Zengo. So again, just really focusing first on this idea of settling. So the cuts fully settle, feel the body's totally calm, and then from here, release it into the next cut. Release it into the next cut. And just get all the time the feeling the sword's anchoring in the hip, and the cut's really settling into the ground. Boom. Release the whole movement from the hip. From the hip. Oh. That's nice. Okay, just play with this as an exercise. If you feel you're totally hitting the ground every time, you just do like Zengo Giri. So if you feel like the cut's totally perfect, boom, 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 you just do like this. But if you have a kind of feeling like it's not too rounded, or I feel like, no, it's a bit odd. So in this case, don't pull back and go into the Zengo. Just come back into the Tsuburiki. So just cut them up. No. No. That one. So when I feel that one's grounded, the sword's totally fine. Go into the other side. No. No. There. And then go to here. So this is also about sensitivity. I want to feel totally happy with the cut. Or maybe not totally happy. Like 90%, I want to feel like boom, calm, set. And it's not about, it's also not totally about my own feeling. It's just what happens with the sword. So I'm also watching what's happening with the sword. Is it going, dribbling down? Am I kind of holding it off? Am I starting the focus too early? Or does it have like a big, powerful quality that just kind of, boom, hits the ground? When I feel that, go to the other side. No. 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 There. There. And sometimes you'll just catch a wave of good cuts. Just keep following them. Just play with it. and again, this is where an exercise like this, it can get taken the wrong way. None of you are doing it like this, but just so that you know, especially for the teachers when you teach these kind of things, is for it not to be mistaken stability for rigidity. So basically people will do this, there's extra movements happening in the sword. So they'll go like, oh, okay, I shouldn't make extra movement. So I tense everything up, everything becomes tense. And then you see it straight away as you go to the zen, as you go to the rotation, there's a lot of release happens through the body. But I want that release to actually have already happened. So there's the release and the go. So what I'm actually looking for in terms of stability, it's where mobility comes into it. So I'm looking for total stability so that I can just move to the next thing. So really feel that when the one that goes right will allow me to just move. So I'm actually looking at the stabilities of the training for mobility in the end. And if I feel that actually as I go, no, I'm actually not totally stable, so that my mobility is going to be dispersed. I'm going to start to pull the body away from itself. So just get that feeling that when you do it right, no. So just play a little bit, but the idea of this is to really to go towards more mobility. That's the key to this. And when we come now into the rebound work, that's the job, is to kind of catch the stability and just send it to the next move. That's it. But in the initial stage, you actually want all those extra movements. Well, I want to listen to them. I want to know. I want to know why they're happening. So if something's happening in the neck, I want to know why. Why is that happening every time? Or if I'm adjusting the hands every time, why? Why do I do that? No. There we go. Nice, nice. Great, we're coming to number 5. So this is one of the easier ones to look at the rebound. So we'll go here. Again, first just find stability. And then again, looking at for mobility, just move into the next one. Okay, so just do 2 or 3, depending on your space. Just feel you can go, move. Go, move. So you've got a really nice mix now. You've got the mobilization movement and going into movement and stabilizing it with the body. And really trying to take this feeling of hitting the ground that we did. We've done a lot of that swing exercise, but just feel you take it in. Take it into the ground. Got this double impact. The body hits the ground and the sword hits and expands out. There we go. Right, just. Nice, nice, nice. Very. Okay, we'll go through the summary and then we'll come back to it. So this movement. So in this case, just looking at number 6, Just make it really simple. You're going to cut down with the _yokomen and then thrust in. Okay, you can do both sides, or you can just stick to one side, but it's just there. This feel now again settling into the ground, and I've got this different movement. So you're going to now thrust in the body here. So it really relies on my anchoring the body down. So cutting one side, thrusting the same side. Just keeping all the time that feeling of anchoring down. Yokomen, ski. Make it super simple. You can also do this movement like Zengo, so like cutting to the front, thrusting in, cutting to the back, thrusting in. You can just play with it a little bit. Make it super, super easy. Right. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Okay, this is really where we'll start to build into this idea of rebound. So you're going to do this now in one step. So think that the cut and the thrust just go after each other. So you've got the cut, thrust. And the first thing is just get the movements to start to join together. So it's about coordination first. Cut in, thrust in. Okay, again, my ability to ground the cut will release the second movement. So I need a really grounded cut. So don't in any sense, in this case, cut out the cut. Don't shortcut. That's the thing. Don't shortcut the cut itself, because that cut is what grounds you into the next movement. Really feel the cut's full. Cut's full, goes in. So you want a really fully grounded cut, and then just let the ski come into it. And again, just work your way into it. Break the form down a little bit. Feel once you've got the ground, just boom, you just explode forward. That's it. Nice, brilliant. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. Okay, if you think a little bit about the application of this, if you watch the videos with Osensei, then he does this move all the time. So he does there's one video, he travels around the tatami and he's doing this blend with everyone, and they raise up, he cuts to the side and they thrust at them. So he cuts the side, thrust at them, cuts the side, thrust at them. So if you think about the practical side of this, when we use this movement, we use it one time in the Kimatsubi here, and we also use it when we come to these movements here. If you think about it, that movement's quite short, so it's not a big movement here. So it's not a big push forward or a big press forward with the body. So just think that movement's a bit more contained here. So that movement's really contained. What I would use for, if it's a longer movement, is coming to here with the ski. So I take a step when I need to take a step, but just notice, or just play a little bit with. As you come, if I take it too far, the body will automatically get kind of pulled out, because I can only really keep the ground in this kind of somewhere about there. So just find that right point, and the more times I kind of hit that point, that. But the moment I go that way, I get thrown out totally. Just notice the distance, and how you would use it practically is it's quite a short distance. There we go. Whoosh. That's brilliant. Okay, just try this just on the right side. It's the same exercise, but what you're going to do now is just find the whole thing together. So you raise up, cut down, thrust in. Raise up, cut down, thrust in. So it's all going to go together. I need to kind of release through it, so it can't at any point fix. So if at any point I get fixed, I'm caught it off. So just feel now. This is tricky because you can't really do it super slow. So the very first moment from finding the back in, that. So it should just feel like whoa, whoa, all in. So just try and get a feel for it. It really relies on the center being behind everything. The moment the center's late, it will all just kind of fall apart. But a really simple exercise. It's actually really tricky. This is really about timing in the body. It's about connections in the body, in a way timing, because you're trying to get the rhythm, everything lined up. Everything needs to hit at the right point. Like you're a series of rocks balanced on each other and you need them all to go together, but they're going to go in like a wave. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Good. Okay, and the main thing, don't get frustrated at all with this. These are really simple exercises, but they look very simple. They're really complex, but they rely a lot. When you see someone like Lewis do these, you also realize that they're also built upon a ground of daily saburi for I don't know how many years, but just get the feeling, don't get frustrated with it. And it's actually based on these very simple movements. So the raise. So if you feel you're getting frustrated by doing like, it's all falling apart, don't do the whole thing. So just break it down. There's a very simple way you can do it. It's just like that. There. And if I get frustrated about like, I found the back, and I'm stuck, just go to that movement. There. When I feel like I can find that, I take it a bit further. That fell apart. But don't get frustrated with it. And also just this very first moment, there. Just those very, very simple movements. Just break those movements down, because these are the keys to the movement itself. But if I get frustrated with trying to find in the whole thing, it will just get annoying. So really feel. Yeah, sure.
Do I understand the exercise right? After the yokumen, do I find the ground and then moving forward, or is it just one thing?
Yeah, what's happened, like the feeling's hitting the ground, so you're gonna go, and it goes in. You see that? So it's like for a millisecond, it hits the ground. But what you're gonna do is by finding the ground, the settling, you're gonna convert it straight away to the strike. So you're doing like this, rather than like go, and then it stops and then it goes. No matter what I do, if I fix that movement and I try and do it fast, it will always have a jerk to it. So I wanted the feeling that it's like go. So that movement's also the movement of this is converted. Go. It's like a skipping stone on the water. Pum, 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 or it goes plum, plum, like that. Like
Got it.
That makes sense.
Thanks.
Like a skipping stone.
So does the weight actually, as your front foot is moving, does the weight go into the front foot before you finish the move or not? Because that I sort of get stuck in the middle there.
Yeah. On the cut, on the yokumen. This one. Yeah. If I totally weight the foot forward, then I'll get stuck in the leg. If you think about this, movement, if you think about the ski, this movement, it's going to come from the back leg. Yeah. So that movement is actually why the front foot's quite free to do it. Now this is tricky in this group. It's why 7's easier, but this one's a bit more contained. But so it's the feeling like that's the ground there. So it's very light in the front foot. So I don't load the weight totally forward. This is why it's like when we talk about like 50-50 being 50-50 in the body. In that point, this is really important because at that point of 50-50, then I shift that foot out of it. But if I go over 50%, even a little bit, now that movement's going to be blocked. Shit. Then I have to go and jump back to it. So just feel, again, it's about like hitting the base every time. The other you remind me is the other thing you can do is take the feet out of it. So now with all these you can totally break them down, break them apart. All the training you should be able to do this with. So just get the feeling you can also do this. So I just then isolate the hip work. If sometimes if you're struggling with something like the footwork or something like this, take it out of it. Sometimes it's nice to struggle through stuff, but you will find stuff through the struggle. But sometimes it's also nice to take the thing out of it. Yeah. So especially in this case, it will reveal the hip work. What do I need to do with the base into the hip? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Great. Okay, we'll go to 7. It's much easier. So you can do this the same way. If you want, you can also start with a step into it. So you can step into it. And again, just the first you just get into the suburu. Make it as kind of flexible, nice and loose. Yeah, the other thing with this, the other strategy you have in this case is totally take power out of it. So that there's no feeling of powering through the movement at all. And there's no consideration for power. Or like, I totally take that down. So tone all the power down. And I'm just going now to connection. You can even take the focus out of the hand. So again, just go to number 7. Focusing on connection, balance, grounding, all these issues. And once everyone's got this kind of reasonably in place, so once those are in place, you can start to play with this kind of idea of rebound through the system. The main thing for us is not to get stuck in Kihon, because if you get stuck there, you'll be stuck for a long time, and it's a dangerous place to get stuck at in terms of Buddha, because there's a tendency to create rigidity through the Kihon. So I don't want to be fixed at all. Because in the end, you're looking for real freedom of movement. So there we go. Very nice. Very nice. Good. Right, now going into a little bit more fluid, just take your time with it. So again, fully in the cut and then fully out into the thrust. Again, know that the cut will ground you through the foot. So there's a slight change in the footwork now totally, because what you're going to do is not fully ground the back foot here and then come out of the cut this way. This is really working in a kind of Kihon way. So in this case, I'm sure the feet clear. You go here. So in this case, you're grounding through the center of the body. The weight's hitting down, but just at that point, you rebound out of it. So just see if you can catch the rebound. You're basically in the back ball of the foot. So you're in the front foot, and then the back foot comes in, and then you bounce out of it. Or you actually bounce into the ground. So bouncing out's a kind of wrong word, but bouncing into the ground. That's. one thing that might help, or one idea which might help in this case, is think about the cut and the thrust as releases. Now, especially the cut, think of it as being a kind of release. So there's something hits and it expands out. Go. So it's like that. I know we do the opposite thing, so we do that. So the tendency that it becomes a fixed movement, but what you're actually doing is that. You're allowing the movement from the center, boom, to expand out. So it's got that kind of quality. So if I think of like archery, think of it, it's actually a release. So it's high tension and then boom, there's a release to it. Now that release is what allows you to then carry it forward. So release that. Just try and see if you can catch it. But it's the difference between holding the sword into that, or try and feel that the cut's actually something's leaving. And then just catch it forward. Just give it a try. Last few. Nice. Go. Release. Yeah, and the release is also hitting the ground, so it's like release down and release out. Boom. Going down and out. There we go. Nice. Okay, so we did these kind of 𝒂𝒂𝒂 movements yesterday. Just play with these. So you got left side, right side, or right side, left side. You got these kind of movements and this kind of movement, hitting the body down. Try and see if you can catch the same idea with it. So the first one, play with is just this. It's taking Migi, Hidari. Or you can go, in this case, the other way is Hidari, Migi. And just play with the same idea. This is much more structured now, and you're wedging the body. So you're doing something more complex, but at the same time, the actual sword work's much simpler. So this, and just feel the kind of rebound as you go in. Go. So there's something hits the ground, something expands out. Just play with that. So two cuts, 2 steps.
Steady.
Nice. Okay, yeah. Okay, the main thing to watch in this case, think about the hand-me, think about entering into it. So the main thing is when you use the hips, use them really triangularly. So this in, and then from here, this in. So really get the feeling that what you're doing is actually wedging in. So rather than coming here, out to the side, this dissipates all the movement because everything's going to kind of start to revolve rather than kind of shoot through. So just get the feeling, especially with these movements. Hips in. So there's really the hip's going to open to the back, but it's doing it with a kind of a directness from the hand, from the triangular. There we go. That's it, Keith. Nice. Whoa. Good. And then just play with a few ideas. You know most of these anyway, so just get the feeling. What you can also do is things like this, come and go. So you've got these kind of movements. You've also got low movements coming down. So just play with a few things. Know that whatever you do, they're actually based on these two movements. So Hidari and Migi, Migi and Hidari, they really form a base. They're very simple movements, but later they just form an idea of compressions in the feet. So that whatever you do from that is really based on one of these movements. So just open the movements out. Just think about different targets on the body. So you can go to the stomach, to the head, to the ribs. So just play a little bit with it. Maybe 2, 3, 4 movements. Just keep this idea of the rebound. Whoa. And there'll be some which are very simple and there's some which will be quite difficult. That's great. Nice. Aikido is a great martial art. I love it, but there's always an assumption. We work on the assumption the attacker always attacks totally, and we work on the assumption that we can always blend with that. But it's not always the case. When you go to like sparring stuff, and especially if you go in like kendo or something, someone's really trying to attack you with something. You know that's not really the case. So it's nice because we're working in ideal conditions. You can really train the body with it. Just feel now in a few cases like I don't kind of get the blend, so I don't kind of get that thing, and it's perfect. Everything goes well. Just feel like you can also move with it. So again, going back to mobility, but feel that I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move. The key thing is don't move in a kind of defensive way. So I don't want to be, and I don't want to touch you where I just move, and then come into it. So just play with moving, and then either do like one or two finishes or one or two blends to finish, one or two movements. Also feel that you can. Sometimes I just miss it totally, and we do this a little bit freestyle sometimes in the dojo, but. Just feel that. The key thing is always this idea of movement, so keeping the movement balanced. Whatever happens, yeah, I miss the blend so. So. Whoosh. There we go. Very nice. Okay, and just like the main thing when you do this in movement is still control the center line. So you're still working in a wedge with the kamae. So when you come back, I still keep the sword on the center line. So I'm not going to give the center line up willingly. So what you can do is trap the person where I'm going to go into these kind of positions. That's done consciously, but don't make the mistake of kind of coming out of the posture here, out of line. Then you're totally opening yourself up. So just get the feeling that whatever you do here, I'm actually still thinking about controlling the center line. Not in a really protective way. Actually, it's got this, Aikido swords is very nice because it's got a defensive quality and offensive. Totally in the same thing. They're actually the same thing in terms of what we do. But just feel it there. Again, it's following the hip work. There, and then come into it. There's a kind of explosion out. But don't give up the center line unless it's taken from you or you give it up on purpose for a trap. There we go. And it's in. Very nice. Okay, very good. Very nice. Great. Okay, we'll stop there. So, and again, this is a big, wide area. There's all these kind of awase work. So it's especially an area I like to work in the dojo because it's full of lots of lessons in terms of footwork and all these kind of pleating patterns in the feet and all the different sword cuts and all these kind of things. So a really interesting area to play with when we can get back in the dojo. Okay, let's Domo. Arigato.
Domo arigato gozaimashita.
Great. Good.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Michael.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
A lot.